Hello and welcome to another class of ABME Biosciences. This is Abhishek with you. So today I'll be talking about immune system, the basics of immune system, the overview of immune system. Because without knowing the basic things, you will not be able to dig into the deep into the immune system. So most of the people are confused or afraid of different terms of immunology or immune system, or the network of immune system, how it works. So many people could not understand that. So that's why I made this class, to make it simple for them, that what is immune system, how it works in a simple way, so that you can dig into the deep into the immune system. So let's start. Now immunity works like, when you are saying immunity, it means it is fighting in your body against the pathogen. So every day billions of virus, bacteria you are encountering through different ways, when you are talking, when you are eating, even when you are walking, when you are sleeping. So every time several pathogens are associated with you, but you are healthy, you are not diseased. That's possible only because of our immune system. So now the immunity that our body, how it protects, can be divided into two types. One is innate immunity, another one is adaptive immunity. So innate, also called as non-specific immunity, and adaptive, also called as specific or acquired immunity. I will tell you specifically why it is specific, why it is acquired, and why it is adaptive, because the names has the significance. So first I'll go for innate or non-specific immunity. So innate or non-specific immunity is the inborn immunity. You are born with this immunity. Okay, maybe the levels are higher or lower from when you are a child, though now you are young, or you are growing a mature person. So the level of immunity may differ, but this immunity you are born with. In your body it is always present, it is always active, even if you are not diseased, even if no antigen is present inside you, but this immunity is active. That's why it is non-specific and innate. So why it is called non-specific? Because the non-specific means it will attack any kind of foreign materials or foreign antigen, you can say. So antigen, you know that any foreign object that pose a threat against our immune system, that is antigen. It may be a polysaccharide, it may be a protein, anything, it may be a lipid. So this is called an antigen. In this innate immune system, it will not recognize the particular specificity of that particular object. It will just find that this is the foreign thing which is now entered in our body, and I have recognized that and I have to kill it. So innate immunity is that type of immunity. Now innate system works in a three-way. How? That is physical, chemical, and cellular levels. So there are three levels where innate immunity is working. Now in case of physical innate immunity, it can be divided into, or you can say also, anatomical barrier. In different books it will be referred as anatomical barriers. So in physical, you can say like skin. Skin is the largest organ of our body and protects, it covers all of your body. So the pathogen, even if I am talking now, there is billions of bacteria sitting on the skin, but they are not able to enter into my body because the layer is impenetrable. They cannot penetrate it without any injury. So it's a level of protection, that is anatomical level or physical level, that is already present. Now mucous membranes. Okay, This is another level. So there some of the components are present, or the nature of mucous membrane is just like that, it will trap the pathogen. Okay, so the pathogen cannot enter, or if it is present it will be outside the cell. So that is a trapping mechanism, or mucous membrane acting as an anatomical barrier. Now next is, you can say, cilia. Cilia is present in the airway lung. Okay, so it's already always moving like this in a pendulum way. So whenever a antigen is entering inside that, it will just throw it back. Okay, so it will not allow any kind of antigen to enter. Okay, so this is another level of physical barrier. Apart from that, you know that our stomach, which contains HCl, so no bacteria or pathogen can stay alive after passing through this stomach. So it is also an anatomical barrier. Now next one is, you can say, saliva, tears, all are anatomical barriers. Okay, now this kind of barriers is already present when you are born, that's why it is innate, and I told you why it is non-specific. Now coming to the chemical levels, it's physical, chemicals. So there are different proteins or components in our immune system which is working 24 hours into 7 days to protect you. Those are complement proteins, first one, interferons, C-reactive proteins. C-reactive proteins, I will tell you in detail. So lysozyme, these are few of the chemical barriers, or it is present in the soluble form all over the body. It is dissolved in the blood and it is just roaming around peripherally all of your body parts. It is like, you can say, it is searching the pathogen to attack. Okay, so whenever it will encounter anything, it will attack to the pathogens. So it is present, like I said, suppose that saliva or tears that contains lysozyme. So this anatomical barrier works as an anatomical barrier because of this enzyme which is present. Now this complement, interferons, C-reactive proteins, lysozyme, all are present in a chemical form to protect you. Now this complement protein is very much effective in encountering the pathogens. It will just see and attack them. Later on several cells will come up and phagocytize it. I will tell you. Interferons generally produced by virus affected cells. Okay, these are also a magnifier of immune system. C-reactive proteins, when there is a tissue damage or there are any kind of injury inside due to the availability of the pathogen, that time our liver produces some kind of proteins. These are called C-reactive proteins. Okay, lysozyme I told you. Apart from this, you can also take a note of kinins. These are molecules which will enhance or activate the pain receptors. So whatever you feel is because of our immune system. It's fever, pain. So everything depends on the immune system, how it reacts, and the pain receptors which is present there. Now coming to the cellular level. So these physical and chemical barriers works in association with the cellular response. So what are the cells? neutrophils first of all, then macrophages, dendritic cells, so these are few of the cells which are acting, and you can also remember NK cells, what is also called natural killer cells. So these are the cellular level of innate immune response, because these cells are always present in your tissues as well as in blood, and they are like searching as a patrol party. You know that our country is protected by BSF, border security forces. So these cells are the border security forces. Okay, so they are present every edge of our body and even in the tissues. So if an antigen enters into the tissue, for that we have macrophages and neutrophils, dendritic cells, NK cells. Dendritic cells are tissue specific, but NK cells and neutrophils, most of the present are they are circulating in the peripheral blood levels. So whenever you are getting affected by a disease, you see that doctor will prescribe you some kind of TCDC, ESR. So total cell count, these are due to the enhancement, the number of the neutrophil levels or leukocyte levels. Okay, so first line of defense in our body, in human body, comprises of physical, chemical, cellular, and these are the levels. Now, if somehow the innate immune system is not able to handle the situation, suppose it is not able to handle the situation due to the specificity of the pathogen, or the pathogen is so much smart, there are viruses, bacteria which are causing us diseases. We have these 3 layers of protection as inborn in our body, but still we get diseased, we get pathogens inside us, and they are able to cause the disease. So at that moment, specific or adaptive or acquired immunity will be an active form. So as I said here, in this immune system or innate immunity, there will be no such specific recognition of the pathogen. But in case of this immunity, there will be specific recognition of the particular agent or the particular specific molecule present on the pathogen. Okay. Now, suppose I will give you an example like gram-negative bacteria. Okay. So, E. coli is a gram-negative bacteria. Now, E. coli represents LPS layer, that is lipopolysaccharide layer. Now, our innate immune system tries to kill it, but it is not able to control the pathogen. That time what will happen? There will be in the role of specific immunity, it will produce some kind of cells or molecules which are called antibodies in action that is specific to the lipids present in the lipopolysaccharide layer or the polysaccharide that is present in the antigen. So one thing I should say, that our immune system works in a network form or in association with innate as well as adaptive. No such individual immune mechanism, either it is specific or non-specific, is enough to control the pathogens. That's why we need both of the immunities in conjunction to fight against the disease. Now the link between the innate and the adaptive immune system is very much simple, if you think so. Very much simple, but we need to know how it is activated. So in case of complement, interferon, C-reactive and lysozyme, these are the components which have inborn mechanism of what? That is PRR, pattern recognition receptors. So they can understand the specific pattern. So what is pattern in this sense? So pattern is suppose the E. coli cell, that is pathogenic E. coli, contains a polypeptide. Polypeptide means it is made up of amino acids. So that particular sequence of amino acid which forms a polypeptide is new to the body. Okay, so that particular polypeptide is not found within our cell or our system. That will be specifically recognized by these pattern recognition receptor molecules, which have this kind of capabilities, like lysozyme also have this capability. Okay, PRR capability. So most of the cells like macrophages, NK cells have this kind of receptors. They have the receptors which are able to just recognize the particular recognition or the particular pattern of the antigen. So what type of receptors they present? There are several receptors, but I will say specifically here TLR, that is toll-like receptors. This is the crucial receptor presented or present over the surface of the cell, which is helping in pattern recognition. So this particular pattern recognition helps the cell to isolate it is either self or non-self antigen, and then they start the mechanism to destroy it. Okay, so this is the basic thing. Now that adaptive or acquired immune system consists of two types of cells, B cells and T cells. So B cell produces antibodies, and T cell is a cellular immunity form. Okay. Now it has also one more name, like you can say humoral response, or here you can say cellular response or cell-mediated immunity. So this basic production of antibodies by B cells and T cells, which is acting as a cellular form, is very much associated with these cellular levels of innate immune response as well as the chemical levels of innate immune response. How? That neutrophils or macrophages or dendritic cells, they have the capability to phagocytose, that is to engulf the foreign antigen inside it and destroy it. So now when they are going for this destruction process, that time there are receptors present on the cell surface of this kind of cells, which will present the antigen, part of the antigen, to other cells like B cells, T cells. Okay, to tell them that this is the particular antigen substance which is foreign, and you need to activate specific mechanism so that the antigen can be destroyed. So that time there are different cells. In T cells there are two types of cells, like T helper cells and TC cells, cytotoxic T cells, and here it is T helper cells. So these two kind of cells which has a crucial role in activating this kind of adaptive immunity, because these macrophages or dendritic cells present the antigen to the T helper cells, which in turn will activate B cell as well as T cells. Okay. Now this is a auto magnifying response. Okay. So auto magnifying means these T helper cells, how it stimulates these two types of specific cells against a particular antigen. How? Because the T helper cells produces some kind of messenger molecules, you can say cytokines, which are stimulating the nearby as well as the, you can say like autocrine, paracrine action to other cell types and tell them to just multiply yourself and produce more types of yourself so that we can fight the pathogen. So this kind of messaging is going on inside the total immune response. Okay, so one cell is messaging the other cells or giving sending some kind of messenger that tell them. Likewise, in a war situation, what will happen? There are messengers which will tell that we need reinforcement, we need more soldiers, we need specific this kind of weapons against that particular type of pathogen. So that is highly associated with this kind of cellular responses. These chemical cellular labels are highly associated with specific or adaptive or acquired immunity. Now I told you why it is specific, because it recognizes the particular lipid or the particular protein or the particular polypeptide against which the humoral, that is antibody, or the cell mediated, that is T cell response generated. Now adaptive means nothing is permanent in our body. The types of different types of antigens are differing. In each second they may evolve or another type of antigen may attack. That time this type of immune system can adapt themselves and again produce that particular antibodies against the particular antigen. That's why it is called adaptive. And acquired means our body do not recognize those pathogens from inborn. Those pathogens are recognized to them by this kind of cellular responses, that this is the pathogen, and they work in three kind of principles. Their specific immunity has three principles, that is diversity, specificity, and self non-self recognition. So these are the three principles of specific, adaptive or acquired immunity which they work upon. So the B cell and T cell, B cell is producing the antibodies and T cell is not producing any kind of molecules which are directly acting against the antigen. Rather, T cells act as a cell. Suppose I will give you an example, like a cell is infected by virus. Okay, now the cell is now going for apoptosis, you can say, or the cell is trying to defend itself. That time what will happen, T cell will come into action and it will go, the T cell is mobile, it will go towards the affected cell and with its receptors it will just bind to the cell, that affected cell and the T cell both will connect through the receptors, and those receptors, the T cell receptors, will just send a signal to the affected cell that you should respond like this or you should produce this substance to eliminate the viral pathogen. Or you can, the T cell can also make the cell to go for death or apoptosis. So this kind of protection or the destruction that is cellular cytotoxicity, is generated or governed by TC cells or T cells. That's why it is cellular immunity. Now overall, this is the basic immune system mechanism. So if you have any doubt, please comment below. You can come over the discussion section, and if you like my video, please subscribe and comment. Okay, thank you very much.